Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Seth Williams. I'm here with Ben Maddox of AcreTrader.com and my treasure troll here. The reason we're here is because Ben works with a company called AcreTrader. And AcreTrader, why don't you explain what AcreTrader is, Ben?
AcreTrader is a farmland investing platform. Investors can go on our website and see the different farms and properties we have up there. And in really just a few minutes, a few clicks, you can directly own shares in U.S. farmland, and we have some minimums as low as $5,000.
So is it essentially like a real estate crowdfunding platform? Is that the idea?
Yeah, basically, so we're crowdfunding individual investments in each of the farms, and you do directly own each piece of farmland.
Okay.
Yeah.
For somebody who has never even thought about investing in farmland, why farmland? Like, why would somebody want to do this?
Yeah. Well, first off, farmland's boring, and we love that about it.
Yeah.
But really, when you look at the big picture, farmland has some pretty great returns in terms of its historical performance. And on top of that, it's a lot less volatile than other asset classes. And at the end of the day, you still own a real asset too in farmland.
Sure. When people want to invest in farmland with you guys, do people invest small chunks so they own like fractional ownership of the property, or how does that work exactly?
Yeah, so you are investing in shares of an LLC. So we'll put the farm in an individual LLC, and you'll own a proportionate amount of that LLC based on your investment. Once you've put your money into that farm, you make your returns in two ways. So there's the annual cash yield, which in the case of farmland is just the rent that the farmer pays each year. And then there's the appreciation of that farmland on the back end when we do sell the property. And we term our investments anywhere from 3 to 5 to 10 years, just sort of based on the crop that we have in the ground there. Okay.
So if somebody wants to invest with AcreTrader and own a portion of this LLC that owns the property, like, what is the exit strategy? How long are they committing to put their money in a project? How long does it take to get their principal back?
You know, with an annual row crop farm, so this is corn behind us, we're in Michigan today, that might be a 3 to 5 year hold. Something perennial crop like almonds, we have an almond farm on our website right now. That's a little bit longer hold, maybe 10 years, just because those trees have a 25-year lifespan and you want to make sure you get the most out of their productivity. And so really we're going to adjust that hold depending on what the crop is in the ground and on what the local market conditions are doing in land. So if we notice a huge jump in land prices, we might exercise the right to sell the farm a little bit early to maximize shareholder value.
Okay, so you guys have like a management team in place,
Yep.
And what do? Do they work directly with the farmer or with the investor? Like, what's their role in all this?
Yeah, one of the most difficult parts about owning and investing in farmland is managing it. So AcreTrader manages all the farms on our platform, and what that means is we're finding tenants, lining those up. We're managing any projects like irrigation or earth shaping, any sort of dirt work that needs to be done. And we're doing all that to maximize the value of the investors. And really that's the hardest part, the biggest barrier to getting into farmland is, gosh, I don't know anything about agriculture. How do I even get started? AcreTrader is a great solution.
Yeah, I have some experience trying to find good deals on farmland, and I know it's pretty hard. It's much, much harder than trying to find a good deal on a vacant residential lot. It's not the kind of thing where you can just make a lowball offer and people will just give it to you. So it makes me wonder, like, how do you guys find deals on farmland? Like, where are you looking for this kind of thing, and how do you put these deals together?
Yeah, so while we think farmland's a great asset class to invest in, it is notoriously difficult to get started. And part of that is because there's very low turnover in farmland. Not only is there limited vacancy in farmland, but properties don't come up for sale that often. And those farms that do come up for sale each year, a lot of them are happening in private transactions, like an arm's length transaction. And so AcreTrader is a national network of brokers, farmers, and fund managers, and we're working with all of them to build relationships, and they'll send us deals in farmland when it comes up for sale. And we're really out there, we've got a dedicated team that's out there looking at those deals every day, and that really simplifies the process for investors.
Okay. So it sounds like you sort of have to be like constantly involved in the process, right? Like always having your eyes on the field and seeing what's happening?
Yeah, certainly. I think that being present and always following up with people is a big part of what I do and what the rest of my team does. There are brokers and land managers who are looking for people who will do repeat transactions, right? And so if you're just looking to buy one farm one time, it's gonna be a lot harder to get brought into deals in the long run.
Okay, so from an investor's standpoint, are they getting both cash flow and appreciation? Like, do they get quarterly or annual payments, and then also they get their principal back plus some profit when the thing sells? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, that's what we really love about farmland, is that it's an alternative asset that also has an annual yield. So investors will get their cash yield at the end of each calendar year. And as I mentioned earlier, that's just the cash rent on each property. And we do anticipate annual appreciation for each of those farms. Again, this is all based on 30 years of historical analysis of U.S. farmland, but the running average has been about 6% a year appreciation in U.S. farmland.
Okay, cool. This global climate change thing that's happening in the world, is that something that investors or farmers or companies like AcreTrader need to be concerned about? Like, is that going to affect this kind of investment in the near future, do you think?
Yeah, certainly. I think climate change is a systemic risk in the sense that its scope and its impact is global, and so I think all types of asset managers need to be thinking about climate change. Now, certainly with farmland, we do depend on sunshine, rain, which we have today, and good weather, more than other industries do. But at AcreTrader, we really focus on trying to mitigate and adapt to climate change, and we do that by selecting properties that are not in drought-prone or flood-prone areas. We always invest in properties that have good irrigation and water rights that, at the end of the day, help mitigate some of those extremes in weather patterns.
Sure. Okay. What information are investors able to see before they make a decision to invest, among one of your properties that you guys have on your website? Like, what information do you make available to them?
Yeah, sure. So if you go on our website, each one of the properties has a unique profile, and in there you can see the different documents we have on each farm. And those documents are going to include the pro forma expectations of returns for each property, but we're also going to have information on water rights and soil quality. And then we'll also have the AcreTrader rating, which encompasses all kinds of different risk issues like flooding, irrigation, comparable sales as well. And so that rating is just another piece of the puzzle to help you do your own due diligence and valuation on the deals on our site.
Sure. And if I understand it right, the income that's being made from these properties, that's basically lease income that's paid by the farmers, right? So like if there's a annual crop that just does terrible, is that burden mostly on the farmer and not on the investor and on AcreTrader?
Yeah, so the majority of farms, not all of them, but the majority of farms that we manage are actually in cash rent. And the cash rent, to some extent, does shield or insulate the individual investor from temporary swings in commodity prices. So it really stabilizes and levelizes the return profile of the asset.
Okay. So I know there is a trade war of sorts going on right now with China. Does that have any impact on farmland as an investment or on investors with AcreTrader? What does that have to do with all this stuff?
Yeah, sure. So, I think the most important thing to take away in terms of investing in AcreTrader is that most of our farms are in cash rent. And as I mentioned, that does sort of shield the individual investor from those swings in commodity prices. And I think also from a bigger picture, while the trade war is certainly consequential and important, we really view it as a temporary fluctuation in terms of farmland value and commodity prices. And at the end of the day, farmland values in the long run are really influenced both by increasing global demand for agricultural products and commodities, as well as a decreasing amount of farmland due to development.
Okay. And in your opinion, what kind of investor is AcreTrader not for? Like, what kind of person should not get involved with this, do you think?
Well, I may be biased. I think farmland investing is really for everyone. At the end of the day, I think AcreTrader is a really good value for people who are looking to diversify their portfolio. Like I said, farmland is traditionally not very volatile when compared to other asset classes, and it's also not correlated with major stock indices, right? And so I think for someone who's really looking for good diversification with strong to moderate returns to their investment, AcreTrader and farmland is a great value.
Okay. I mean, would you say if somebody is the type who they want to get their money back within 6 months or 12 months, I mean, it obviously doesn't make sense for them, right? So if you need your cash back immediately, you probably shouldn't be putting in AcreTrader. Is that a safe assumption, or am I missing anything with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely do take a long-term perspective on farmland. We're very confident in its long-term performance, its historical performance, and so it's probably not a day trade type of opportunity, but for folks who are looking for stable returns over the long run, it's a great investment. Okay.
And if I understand correctly, the value of farmland, it doesn't necessarily go up and down with the value of conventional real estate, like single family homes and that kind of thing. Like, it sort of follows a different pattern, right? And what affects that pattern?
That's again one of the great things about farmland is it's a largely non-correlated asset in terms of macroeconomic movements don't necessarily affect the value of farmland because at the end of the day, there's very limited vacancy in U.S. farmland and increasing global demand for food and ag commodities. And so ultimately what influences farmland value the most is going to be global demand and then decreasing supply of farmland.
Okay. So Ben, what kind of stuff do you guys look at when you're evaluating a deal? Like, how do you know and how do you come up with a predictable outcome where, like, yes, this will be a good farm opportunity, it will most likely generate this kind of return over the next 3 to 5 years? What do you look at? How do you figure that out?
Yeah, I think that's a real value add of working with AcreTrader, is that we do have a due diligence process. It's quite thorough. And it begins with a income approach looking at a farm. So that's all the intrinsic qualities of farmland. So what is the asking price? What is it being rented at? So at the end of the day, what is the cap rate on that piece of land? And then we combine that in the second step with a market comparison. And so in this stage, we're really looking at how are larger market forces affecting the price of farmland. And then in the third stage is really our own due diligence and experience coming into play. So we're here on a farm today in Michigan. I'm doing a little bit of research on this particular farm, and we're going to look at everything from, is the well good? Are the water rights in place? Does the water drain off the land appropriately? And so that's sort of the third element of our due diligence process, is that on the ground inspection, right? And so I think that's a real asset that AcreTrader has, and that it's hard to just go out and buy farmland on your own if you don't have that experience.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if you come across a property where, I don't know, say there's one issue with it where, like, the water doesn't drain properly or it's not currently irrigated, like, do you guys do anything to fix those problems, or is it just like, nope, not the right one, we're gonna go find something else? What's your approach to that?
Yeah, I mean, because farmland is such a competitive market, there are very few great deals waiting to be had. And you have to do a little bit of work to go out and find them and to improve farmland to be a great deal. And so we will do a little bit of value add work. And so that could be drilling a new well, doing a little bit of land shaping, or fixing up poor drainage. When we do that, we can take what's an okay farm and make it a great farm. And that really, investors really benefit on the back end in terms of the appreciation of that property when it's sold again.
I gotcha. Well, folks, it's starting to rain here, so we're gonna wrap this up. But again, AcreTrader, REtipster does have an affiliate relationship with these guys. If you want to check it out through our affiliate link, it's retipster.com/AcreTrader. And we're also going to have that link beneath this video in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you got something out of it. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.